If you only look at the headlines surrounding immigration, they only focus on what's happening primarily on the southwest border, but they fail to dig deeper about why so many people are in this position where they feel like their only option to survive is to flee their countries. How did this get there? And you brought up the example in 2009 that I think doesn't get any kind of examination and in connecting these dots as it should. I would be a little bit more forward than you were in saying the role that the Obama administration had and Secretary Clinton had was actually far more direct than just not supporting the leader of that country, but actually our government covertly supported the overthrow, which has happened so many times in Latin America, in Central America, in the Middle East, in Europe, in countries around the world. Unfortunately, leaders past and present have supported this intervention, the overthrow of one leader over another, implementing or supporting a leader that the United States government supports, but that ultimately ends up causing more damage and more harm and suffering to the people in these countries, and ends up having a counterproductive result that does not serve our interests, whether they be national security interests or economic interests or otherwise. And I think one of the worst things about this is that these efforts, these missions are often conducted under the guise of humanitarianism, saying that there are people in these countries who are suffering and we want to go in and help them. But the way that this so-called help has occurred has been going in and toppling an authoritarian leader or dictator or some other sort that has led to a worse off impact, a negative impact, more suffering for the people in these countries than they had before. So this is directly connected to the immigration challenge and crisis that we are facing, and speaks to why our foreign policy needs to change. More broadly, and this is a big topic, but both related to Latin America and Central America, we need to be able to look at, for example, how can we make it possible for people to seek asylum in their own home country or a country closer to their home country than having to walk all the way to our border to set that application or put that application for asylum in place. We need to not only reinstate the aid that this administration has stopped, but actually look at what those aid dollars are being used for. That if there are countries where you have corrupt government in place and we're not able to account for those dollars actually getting to the people, let's look at other means to be able to provide that aid directly to people who can then be empowered to take care of themselves, their families, and strengthen their own communities. We could do far more with these dollars in this way than they are currently being spent holding immigrants in detention in big tents at our border for an undetermined period of time, to the tune of something like $700 or $800 per day per person who is being held in these camps at our border.